The young lady from New York is recognized for as much time as she wishes to consume.
And, Mr. Speaker, this is just not an ordinary day. This is a very important thing what's happening here, particularly those of you who watch Congress a lot and want to know what it is we're about. This is a very special occasion here. As you can see by this poster on my right, we are celebrating a double golden anniversary. This is today the majority is holding the 50th vote to repeal or to otherwise undermine the Affordable Care Act under the 50th closed rule. Now, to people who don't understand what a closed rule is, that means this rule is coming to the floor to debate these bills, which will not allow to be amended. So that's not exactly an open Congress in a great democracy. The majority has defied all expectations in reaching those milestones today. And as one often does when celebrating a colleague's 50th birthday or acknowledging a friend's 50th wedding anniversary, I want to take a moment to reflect on all that the majority has done to achieve this great honor. Indeed, many Americans, including myself, were doubtful we would ever see the majority hold their 50th vote to repeal a good health care law that is already benefiting more than 9 million Americans, because why would Congress want to take health care away from people? And I remember back in 2012 when CBS News reported the majority had spent 80 legislative hours, costing approximately $48 million, to hold 33 votes to repeal the ACA. That's just the amount of money spent on floor time and committee time. And they've held the 33 votes at that time to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Given the incredible waste of time and taxpayer money, I was hopeful that the third vote might be the last, but the majority has persevered and continued to ignore the nation's pressing priorities to make it to today's 50th vote. Of course, getting this far wouldn't have been possible without the help of a closed legislative process, a process that has allowed the majority to pursue a 50th vote without pause. Last year, the majority presided over the most closed session in history and repeatedly passed closed rules that shut out the voices of the nearly 200 duly elected members of Congress who sit on my side of the aisle. And now today, the majority is presenting their 50th closed rule in order to hold their 50th go-nowhere vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act. It's truly amazing that the majority has managed to hold the same vote 50 times while so many Americans and so much of the world cries out for help. As we know, there are global crises from Ukraine to Afghanistan. There are at home millions still looking for work, millions more working for a minimum wage upon which they cannot survive. In fact, just this week, the number of Americans whose emergency unemployment insurance has expired will surpass 2 million individuals, including almost 200,000 veterans. We could have averted the crisis weeks ago, and we have tried numerous times to do that, but the party has repeatedly said no, and indeed some of our colleagues have said it would be immoral to help out those who have no money coming into the House. Meanwhile, the Center for American Progress released a report today that found that raising the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour would reduce federal spending on food stamps by $4.6 billion, that's with a B, dollars a year. And despite a similar estimate from the Congressional Budget Office declaring that raising the minimum wage would lift 900,000 people out of poverty, the majority refuses to join my Democrat colleagues and me to give America a raise. Mr. Speaker, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of bills that deserve our consideration, but today's attempt to repeal a good health care law is not one of them. In fact, I have a list of 50 votes that we could be taking today instead of another vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Everything from rebuilding our crumbling bridges and roads to creating American manufacturing jobs. And I ask unanimous consent to enter the list into the congressional record.
Without objection.
Of particular importance is a bill that I authored called the Preservation of Antibiotics for Medical Treatment Act that will address the immediate crisis of antibiotic-resistant diseases and help to save lives. And despite the urgent need to protect public health, we have been unable to even get a hearing on this important legislation. The majority's refusal to take action on any of these pressing issues is truly an achievement, not one to be proud of. And I hope I have made it clear that we cannot celebrate that achievement. Mr. Speaker, it is my sincere hope that the milestone the majority is reaching today will be the end of the line for the tired political game. We have far too many issues that need our attention, and it is well past time we got to work. I strongly urge my colleagues to vote no on today's rule and the underlying legislation, and I reserve the balance.